two excellent presentations. Any questions or observations on what we saw? Obviously it's a very powerful piece of technology. One thing we've been struggling with over the last few months is finding, we have an event, as you know, on the 26th of November, is to find true Irish case studies of these technologies being used. The title of the event is Building Information Modelling Goes Mainstream in Ireland. So if any of you know of any actual projects, either at design stage, on site, on the four corners of this island, let us know, because we need to try and, does anyone know of any where these technologies have been used? What about Jared, Autodesk?
Well, I suppose I do know of some, yeah, but we have to, you know, it's kind of like people maybe not wanting to let other consultancies know, and we would have to ask them first of all.
Do you think there's a big reluctance in the industry for designers to share models with other consultants and contractors?
There is a bit of that around, you know.
Why would that be?
It's just because I suppose you're giving away a lot more information. You know, you feel like you're doing part of somebody else's work if you're giving them that much information in a model. So instead of, we could create a model like that, and then if I'm giving it to you, I'll just give you a 2D section in AutoCAD, and you won't know that I've used Revit to create that at all. And that's just, it's part of, you know, ownership of the information.
Is it an
sharing. I think it's just a, it's maybe it's a way of thinking that people need to come around to, and also that you know, for it to work, everybody has to buy into it and realize that, yeah, I am giving you more information, but you're going to be able to use that information in a way that is going to benefit me in the long run. But at first off, it's kind of like, I'm giving everything away here, I'm not hiding anything in a way, and that's part of it. Now obviously you can give models at different stages, and that works because we can see we can bring in a model at any time. It doesn't have to be the live model, but it's just a way of thinking, I think, anyway, and sharing of information.
Is it like an intellectual property problem? Or, you know, if an architect gives a model out to someone else, that could be held out to be found to be,
could be, I suppose, yeah.
that there could be a design issue.
I know there are people looking into how contracts are written to deal with BIM, so that maybe has to be solved first before everybody is happy to share. You know, the actual legal side.
That's really the purpose of the 20th of November, is the webinar. 28th of October, sorry, next Thursday. Because the biggest problem is when we're implementing these tools on projects, particularly an experience in the US, is that you have to have an IPD agreement in place with all the stakeholders, so that everyone knows, you know, and who the ownership of the models is a huge problem, you know. So maybe lawyers need to get involved as well, you know.
We did have a lawyer speaking, John.
Yeah.
At the last, and it was new to him even.
Yeah, it was a good year.
Any questions? Okay. And just to say, okay, Pat. Where's Pat? Oh, Pat. Okay.
Well, just a question on the cost benefits analysis which was prepared there. Do those cost benefits apply to your average architectural firm, or do they apply across the industry? One of the problems seems to me for the Irish industry is that the design end of the construction life cycle has to put in all the investment in BIM, whereas the benefit really falls to the construction and delivery end of the life cycle and to the client. So, and that's because the structure of the industry is quite different in the United States. It's much easier to do it, but in this part of the world where the industry is organized into functional professional groups, the people who put in the investment don't necessarily realize the return. Is that the case?
No, I wouldn't say it's the case. I mean, as I was trying to say, if we just look at our own practice, the reason we implemented BIM was for our own gain. We weren't thinking about everybody else. But the fact that we've got a BIM model of our projects that can be taken into other stages by other disciplines is to the benefit of the project as well. So it would be nice, obviously, to get it get the funding from the people who are getting the most benefit, which usually is the client. But that might not happen. And I think rather than waiting around for that to happen, if each person, each discipline could see the benefit to themselves and work together, you'll realize the same goal.
Because of the structure of the industry, the biggest benefit falls to the end of the life cycle, to the buyer who's in construction, rather than to the people who's making the investment. Therefore, it seems to me it's very two things. One, that it's important that the major clients invest, if you like, in the process, particularly government, and therefore to drive the whole cycle forward.
It would be, the clients and the end user does get the biggest benefit, and it would be great if they understood that. But I think at the moment there's just so little education out there. The clients, I mean, the government have nothing in their contract or procurement procedures about technology. It seems that they're just completely unaware of the benefit that they could gain. I mean, in the United States they're talking about 20 to 30% saving on projects. Now, I mean, that would be an enormous benefit to the government, but it seems they don't know about it. But, I mean, we could all just sit around and wait for the government to cop on, but I think the better approach is let's all get the benefit for ourselves. I mean, let's work in a better way and get rid of the headaches and deliver projects easier, cheaper. I mean, the fees have been driven down to ridiculous levels that you can't actually deliver quality design services anymore. So each discipline needs to look at what they're doing internally, and I believe BIM offers a solution internally. And then if we take that further out, we will deliver better projects overall, and it will turn around eventually as the word gets out there.
Well, I think there's benefits for all the stakeholders, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, there's, you know, if you're on your own doing it, you're going to get a benefit from it.
Yeah.
And if you can collaboratively, everybody's going to get a benefit from it. But I wouldn't concur there with Ralph. There's no need to hold back. There's a benefit for you to take it on board now if you're involved in it.
Well, I think I got a sense in listening to you this morning, Ralph, and talking to you over the last few months, a sense of frustration, which I can appreciate. But the one thing I found working with the Alliance over the last 10 years is patience is a great virtue with this industry. You have to take things sometimes a little bit more slowly. Plus, we are in the teeth of a storm at the moment, and you hear what's happening in the UK, what they're going to be doing, and in Ireland, there really isn't. I'm not sure what's going to be happening towards the end of this year in regard to budgetary cuts. But I think there's been tremendous momentum over the last 4 or 5 months within the Alliance in BIM. I mean, to hear from Graphisoft, ArchiCAD, to hear from Bentley, to hear from Tekla, to hear from Autodesk has been very rich and rewarding, I think. I think there is a nucleus there for a strong, vibrant, proactive group. You say there is not much happening in BIM within the institutes. I think you find that there is some moves within the RAI. I know, for example, the IPMFA recently had a conference on BIM. So there is things are starting to happen. And I think if we can use the last 4 or 5 meetings as the platform for a strong, vibrant group in 2011, we could well be ready to put together a very strong case to Enterprise Ireland, to the government, to lobby them in regard to what you're saying. I mean, I know that Alan, one of my students in DIT, produced a report to me recently that showed that Norway, Sweden, Denmark have within their public procurement guidelines embedded BIM as a requirement to win projects. That is there, and in the US, this figure of 50% is a phenomenal figure. To think that 50% of projects in North America are using this technology. So yes, we are behind the curve, but I think if we can set a roadmap out for next year, we can chip away at this. Yeah. But I think the November the 26th is sort of the culmination of the BIM saga for CITA EIN. we need to maybe move on to another, maybe we fix that or we started to fix that problem. So what would be nice to hear, maybe, you may well have other questions on BIM this morning, but we'll be finishing soon, is we need to put together a program next year for EIN. And it's what subject areas we should be focusing on. We will continue to work on BIM, but maybe the focus and the emphasis is different. But also, you talk about maybe the apathy in the industry. Maybe being in DIT and somewhat cloaked and not living in a bubble and not living in the real world, there is a lot of pain out there in the sector. And the industry haven't really got the time to focus on this because it's about survival. So,
my view would be that this is the perfect thing for survival.
So,
I mean,
so would you think that we should continue this theme of BIM next year with the EIN, or do you think we should be, do any ideas of what type of things we should be focusing on next year?